Today in the crypto space, the bloodbath continues. Bitcoin dropping below 92,000, down approximately 3%, and Ethereum below the $3,000 mark, down approximately 4.5%. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, guys, they're deep in the red. We have Solana, MNT, CRO, even Zcash coming down for a bit of a dip. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market, and I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and let's focus on Bitcoin, because ultimately, if Bitcoin continues to the downside like this, we're going to see a lot more red to come. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setup, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what we got going on here, because we do see some more red today. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. We see the total market cap dropping. It's going to be reaching $3 trillion very soon. It's down 3%, while we see the trading volume increase. Very unfortunate to see that the general market participation is in consensus with this dip. So we got volume on this dip. It's very ugly to see, but it is what it is, right? Another thing that I want to bring to your attention is that Bitcoin is currently trending here on CoinGecko, which is quite interesting, because usually when we see projects trend, it's because they're getting a bit of hype, right? At this current moment, Bitcoin is not getting hype. In fact, Bitcoin is coming down, and a lot of fear is definitely in the market at the current moment. I'm expecting the fear and greed index tonight to be very, very low, maybe dropping below the 10% mark, which is obviously not something that we want to see. And another thing that we need to consider is it only Bitcoin that is dipping? Meaning, are there other assets out there in the traditional markets that are also falling down? Before we get into that and we get into the Bitcoin chart, let's just quickly look at the general market here. Bitcoin obviously coming down, and I'm not going to spend too much time here because it's very easy to know at this current moment, in the last 24 hours, we're seeing about a 5%, maybe more, I would say about 5% dip across the space. Okay, it is what it is. It's 5%. Now, you have to understand how critical these little dips are. It's only 2% on Bitcoin or so, if not mistaken. Let me just double check. 3% as we speak. You know, it is ugly, no doubt. But we have to keep in mind that the truth is that the altcoins are also dipping almost at a similar rate, which means that maybe the sell pressure on alts are done, right? Usually we see much more of a dip on the altcoins. You have to understand that altcoins have been selling off for a good while. A long while, and floor prices are levels of which where there's no more sellers. It's done, no more selling, right? And obviously there's no more buyers either, and that's what you hit a floor price, it goes sideways. So maybe that's the scenario here. We got to keep a track on altcoins. Obviously the sentiment on alts are very, very low. The sell pressure has begun way back on the alts, and they've been bleeding out for a good while already, right? So how much lower can we go? And that's a good question. So we got to pay attention to the price action and the overall sentiment in the altcoin market, because generally, guys, when we hit a floor price, it's a good signal is where there's no more sell pressure. And as you can see, yeah, you know, Bitcoin being down 3% and the average altcoin right now being down in a very similar way, and more risk on assets like pump, for example, down almost 12% today. That's pretty big, guys. That's a pretty big dip. We have a lot of other little dips here and there, but it is what it is, guys. Hopefully we're all hanging in there, guys. If you entered that short that I got into this morning on the Discord, I showed you a short position. It was a great little move. I should have held it much longer, but of course you don't want to be greedy, and ultimately, guys, we are still dipping down. Now, again, the most important question that a lot of us have is, when are we going to stop with this dip? Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the asset currently that we're all paying attention to, because we did break structure on the 4-hour time frame, and you can see the 4-hour rollover right here. This is the daily time frame, no doubt. The daily time frame is barely holding on for dear life, but the 4-hour is still in a downtrend, and in fact today got a bit aggressive. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, ultimately, guys, it's very important for us to be bearish when it's time to be bearish, and it's important to be bullish when it's time to be bullish. No doubt, that's easier said than done. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are a bear, be very careful. I think that being a bear right now at this current moment, you're a little bit late to the party. The bears have been celebrating all the way down. Now it's about time that you expect either some sideways or a bit of recovery. Now the recovery doesn't mean that it's going to be a recovery back to all-time highs to to $1 million target. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is at least a bit of relief. Some sort of reaction, because shorts are piling in. You got to understand that, and based on that, there's liquidity in those shorts. And based on that concept, we should see market maker behavior try to attract or sweep that liquidity that's slowly building as we keep on coming down. People are entering those shorts, trying to hedge against their portfolios. The problem is with shorts is that if they do pile up heavily and price action tends to go, to that level, the squeezes that get produced off of those shorts are actually quite violent in the sense that they do have a lot of strength to the upside. That is the biggest fear that I have at the current moment, getting into fresh shorts. I just want you to quickly reminisce on the past and look at how this looked like. You can see it's a very similar concept, very aggressive towards the tail end of the dip, as you can see, and then little by little we start getting those recoveries. I feel like if we are going to get a recovery, the moment is sooner than later, if we're going to get one. Now, obviously, the markets don't drop, in one red candle very often. The truth is we should get some volatility to the upside. And based on that, I'm seeing a bit of a target right around the 105 at minimum and testing the order block at around 115. In the meantime, guys, we need to be very aware that the bears are still in control on lower time frames, even on the 4-hour. The daily, it's still a case where one could argue, and of course I'm going to argue that the trend is still up. Very clear, higher highs and higher lows. Nothing has changed here. The trend is still intact on the daily. Now, this is a critical moment because this is where a lot of people start slapping trend lines in, such as myself, and then you start, looking at levels of which support can be achieved, right? Let's make this a little bit better. In fact, I have a better chart that I would like to share with you guys. Give me a second right here. This chart, this Bitcoin chart, shows you exactly what I'm looking at. Now, what I'm looking at is this level. This was a nice golden pocket level. We discussed this on the live stream yesterday, and it hit the golden pocket. As we speak, it's hitting that level spectacularly. Now, it won't be spectacular if we keep on coming down, because the truth is the next target is sub 75K, right around 75K, I would say, is the next level where we induce more pain, max pain scenario, right around 75,000, which are these bottoms, these wicks, and these tops right here. The order block in itself, where the majority of the volume lies, is around the 85. So this is the next level. This is the next level where I would be targeting, but the current level is not over. Right? I just want you to understand that trend lines are not a great way to be trading. They're good visuals, no doubt, to give you an indication of, the general direction. But as you can see, sweeps do happen. Sweeps below trend lines do happen. Could this be a sweep? Again, I'm smoking a bit of hopium here, but it is what it is, right? Could be a sweep. We get back above, and then we continue to the upside. In the meantime, guys, getting into shorts would be ideal once we see some relief, some sort of indication that you're not starting to short from a bottom. If you start shorting from a bottom or selling, you're selling the bottom. That's not what you do. You wait for a bit of relief and you sell on the top, even if it's a quick relief back to about, like I said, 105 to about 115. Anywhere around this area, if you want to start scaling out, if you're a bear and you're bearish and you feel like this is going to be a reversal level, guys, that would be your opportunity. At the current moment, of course, if you want to sell because you bought Bitcoin at around 17K, sure, do your thing. You're still very up. Let's be real about it, guys. If you've been here on the channel listening to me since down here, there's a good chance that you've been buying Bitcoin and you've been buying altcoins, some of them doing very well still. However, guys, for the most part, altcoins are the ones that are taking massive beatings. This is the overall sentiment in the market. So as the cleansing happens and as we see meme coins and all the other garbage get wrecked, we have to be really clear about what Bitcoin is telling us right now. Bitcoin is telling us that we've come to a level such as this one before. And as that level did produce a lot of emotions in the past, we are producing another very emotional level. But the difference is that this emotion that we are feeling at the current moment is nowhere near as intense as it was here. Why is that the case? It is the case because a lot of us are into altcoins and a lot of us are seeing our altcoin portfolio bleed out pretty badly. So this is the thing, as we get more risk on and as we get the slight increase in retail, we start to get more voices. And those voices generally get into the altcoin market. And because of that, since we haven't seen, some relief or even an altcoin season, a lot of individuals are very salty right now and very distraught on and looking at their portfolios deep in the red. Understood and acceptable. Just understand that you're buying, or if you start selling, you will be selling into support. It is what it is, guys. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be the support, but if we have the confluence, this is a general area that you want to confirm that it's not going to be support. Because if there were going to be support right now, it's right around this level. Guys, we could come down to about 95, 85. That's the order block that could act as support, the next level. And all this level, guys, if we start making lower lows, it's not a good look, guys. It's a change of character on the daily. And then I have no choice but to start looking for, short positions, maybe longs into a bit of relief, and then shorts all the way back down, and it's done. So this is where a lot of people need to be very aware. Is the next, I would say, 24 to 48 hours. In fact, the rest of the week should be very critical for the price. We need to see some action. Okay, but now that we looked at Bitcoin a little bit, and we got a general idea of what Bitcoin has been doing. Now, what is exactly happening in the traditional markets that could be causing this type of scenario? Guys, I want to tell you this. It's not just Bitcoin. It's not just crypto that is currently suffering. We got the NASDAQ also dipping down today, as you can see deep in the red for this daily candle. You can see the daily candle right now is coming down pretty hard, right? We got the QQQ also coming down, looking for a breakdown for lower lows. We got the Russell, the most risk-on asset group index here in the traditional markets, coming down fairly hard, as you can see, making lower lows actually activated after this rollover, right? And then we got this SPX coming down, obviously, and for a little bit of correlation, we also have the Dixie showing a little bit of strength. Why? Is because TradFi traditional markets are not looking good, so people get into stable, which is the fiat currency, the dollar. It is what it is, guys. Now, if we start to see the dollar do well, guys, it's very possible that this is a nice rounded bottom where we start to see a recovery on the US dollar. It's not going to be good for markets in general. And this is the biggest issue, is because the traditional markets have done well so far. And if we start seeing pullbacks in the traditional markets, guys, what is that going to translate into crypto? Given that the only asset that's really, really looking good right now and still looking good is Bitcoin, because it's at 92,000, give or take, fine, and its bottom was at, sub 17,000, whatever the case is, and ultimately it's the only asset that really ran up. The rest of the space is deep in the red and looking pretty bad. So this is the thing, guys. If we start to see the traditional markets dip, the bearish thesis is that the crypto markets should also dip and take more beatings. Okay, so that's something to concern. Now let's get back into Bitcoin. Okay, so now that we understood context and the fact that this dip is not exclusive just to Bitcoin and the rest of the alts, this is across the markets. The traditional markets are also bleeding out a little bit today. And as you can see, Bitcoin has hit a very good level. And the level of which I want to point out is this liquidity right here. This last impulsive move to the upside was the target. We swept the target. We hit the target. It was right around 92,500. That was my target, as I mentioned to you before many, many times. That's the bearish target. Now, all of a sudden, what do we have to do? What do? We got to wait, guys. You gotta wait. You gotta wait for a proper reversal. Today was looking okay at one point. Went long. I went short. Got a couple of trades. They did pretty good. But again, it's the traders market. And if you're still short, for a swing, which I do have a swing short open from about 116,000. Guys, I'm still holding on. I'm still holding on until further notice, because really, we could come down even a little bit lower, even coming down to the order block down here. As I mentioned, we have an imbalance that we're trying to fill right now. 88,000 is the target. Maybe a little lower right into this volume, and then from there we'll see what the rest of the price action looks like, right? Because ultimately we're still on a downtrend on the 4-hour. Let's go down to the 4-hour and see what's happening. You can see lower lows and lower highs. Still, we can get a bit of a bounce here, maybe come back up to this zone and still maintain a downtrend, as long as this trend does not change in character, meaning stop making lower lows and lower highs. Guys, the trend is your friend until the end, right? That's the truth. Right? So it is what it is, guys. We have no choice but to be bearish otherwise. But if you're a spot accumulator, guys, consider peppering in capital here and there on top projects that you really like. These are fire sale opportunities. If you're a long-term hodler and you want to just hold some projects that you haven't been able to buy because maybe the prices were too good, just pepper in a bit of capital. I'm not saying go all in. Just pepper in a little bit of capital and throw away the key. Buy some ETH, maybe a bit of Bitcoin, buy a little bit of, the large caps, $1 billion and higher market cap. Those are a lot safer, quote unquote, quote, safer, because nothing in this space is safe. But you get what I mean. Based on its market cap, they should show some volatility. And then some of those dino projects that people hate on. Why? Because they showed resilience, and they show resilience because they have stability and they have structure and they have, an infrastructure that has been tried and tested, right? These are very good strategies. Now, as you can see, the daily time frame volatility came in very, very hot here and pushed down and made a lower low. I wanted to see a confirmation that the bears showed weakness by not being able to make another confirmed lower low. Unfortunately, the bears showed the strength. It is what it is. Now, upon a bullish response, if we do not come back up into the structure, guys, it's not a good look, right? Because if you go down to the 1 hour, really what I'm focusing on is this level right here. I want to see this thing fail, right? I want to see this impulsive move from the bears fail. What does that mean? Get back in and hold on. And what I would be doing is looking at this range. Get back in and hold on. Because really, if we do one of these and we get a swing failure to the downside that does not translate into a structure that is like a bear flag for a continuation, guys, it's very possible that we could get a short-term relief in the immediate short term. Because the reality is, guys, we've been on a downtrend for too long already. Now it's not in your favor to be looking for continued shorts unless you're scalping the 5-minute and even the 1 hour. That's totally fine. But you just got to be ninja about it. You got to get in and get out. Right now, in your favor is to sit on your hands and look for the next setup that shows us continuation or does show us maybe a reversal. Ideally, we see a reversal here just for a bit of relief because we've been on a downtrend significantly here, guys. So slow and steady. Don't get too aggressive on any trades at the current moment. There's divergence everywhere here on the 1 hour. As you can see, these expansions are getting smaller and smaller. We have the momentum line also in an upwards trend while price is falling. We also have the trend oscillator, which is a lagging indicator right now. Not looking the greatest, I'll be honest. EMAs are facing down. Red histogram bars are in effect. We got the blue expansion coming in, not look good, and the bearish control zone it is. But just keep in mind, this is a lagging indicator, number one. And number two, we got some divergences that didn't get invalidated. Why? Because this low didn't come down lower than this one. So the reality is this is still diverging to the upside. And you can see that we're also making higher highs here. So it's not too bad. It's just that you don't want to be front running the market just looking at divergences on the 1 hour. That's the thing, guys. To be a trader, you need to find a good amount of confluence, and you need to be very selective on your entries. You need to be very selective on your setups so that you'll have a high win rate setup, and then ultimately, you got to be quick to take profits, guys. Today was a ninja move, no doubt. As you can see, we're coming down. We come down to the golden pocket from the swing low to the swing high. We're currently touching that GP, the golden pocket, and is very confluent with the last impulsive move here and the imbalance that we have here right around 92,000. Lots of confluence here. Let's see what the bulls have left into them. If they have any strength, they're going to have to show it soon. If not, the bears are still in control here, guys, but I don't think it is the right time to get into bearish price action. Just be very, very careful about being a late shorter. That's the only thing. The same way I say, don't be late longs, don't be late into your shorts, because the truth is, late anything in this space doesn't get rewarded. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.